What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Wednesday,
My
June
dudes.
17th. Today, our guest, Mr. SMKeyboards, aka SM, aka Sam. How you doing, my dude?
Great. Sorry, just had to play around with the microphone.
No worries.
It was
no
funny.
worries.
I looked and I saw you hit mute, and then I was like, "Brilliant!" We're already
doing great. Doing great.
No, so guys, if you did not get a chance, let me grab that link for you. So last week I built a board by SMKeyboards. It is a fantastic build. The actual build went very smoothly, which doesn't happen often for me. I feel like on my personal builds, I always manage to screw something up, but it went very smooth because the board is a very solid board. So very happy to get that. And I put in. I was looking at typing up the guest. I was like, I don't know if I call you a vendor or a manu. You're like a little column A, little column B.
All
but
the above.
SM, all the above. He makes stacked acrylic keyboards. And basically, if a PCB exists, he will make a board that will fit that. Welcome, SMKeyboards.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man.
Absolutely.
So I did warn you about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We always like to start with our fast four. So I will start us off with top 4 favorite switches.
So I wrote everything down because I'm that type of person. My current favorite for number 1 is alpacas. Lubed, filmed, I believe. I think I filmed them. Filmed. Yeah, they're great. They're my main board that I've been typing on in a nice 60%. But second up is the Gateron Ink Blacks. I have those in my Alice. It's pretty nice to type on. Third one is Zelio's V2. Currently, I'm not typing on them, but they are like I came into the hobby as like a tactile boy, and then switched over to like linear. But I always enjoy like that nice tactile bump. So, and then the last one is H1s. I have that in my KBD 67 polycarb build.
Nice.
There it is. That's some solid variety.
Yeah, a
You
little
usually get like
sprinkling of
all
tactile.
one side or all the other side.
Yeah.
But
I like the Zelio in there. Changes it up.
Yeah. I like I like T1s too, you know. But I just have like the Zelos to me just feel a little bit better.
I mean, in terms of feel, it is such a great tactile switch, and especially just one that you just out of the box, it feels great.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might disagree, but I still think that Zelios out of the box are the best feeling switches, with inks being like right there at number 2. But like a 78 gram Zelio, I would be comfortable opening up in a box and putting immediately into a board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
That's like the ploy of like the Zelio switch, right? Like, or just the Zeal switches as a brand is like peak smoothness, best feel out of the box. Just throw them in, you're good. But next up in the Fast Four will be your top 4 favorite key sets.
So my favorite one, like by far, is Metropolis. I have that on 2 boards because I bought the 40s, and it's on my Van Vergaan keyboard. And then I split the one alpha is on the current 60 I'm typing on, and then the other one is using, I believe, the Korean beige GMK alphas. And it's mixed in with the accents of the Metropolis, and it looks clean, in my opinion. But the second one is Vaporwave. I have that on my TKL with the nice Rama Artisan X key. Great. And I don't have the third one, but I hope it's going to be my third, is GMK Dracula. I'm a web developer during the day, and Dracula is like my go-to IDE theme. So I'm hoping that it's going to match it perfectly, and I can take a nice photo with it. Um, and then 4, it's kind of a toss-up in between GMK Paperwork, which was originally for the minivan keyboard, and GMK Oblivion.
There it is. I remember Paperwork kind of because it was a 40s kit, or I guess I don't know if it was a 40s or if it was only for the minivan. But yeah, I remember I was like, man, this is a cool set. Too bad it's only 40s.
Yeah. There is some other compatibility to it, but it's currently on my my minivan, so it's one of the. I really like just like the muted color palette that they picked. One of my favorite.
Yeah, the subtle muted colors are nice. Like that's why I love sets like Hyperfuse Origins, where it takes like a little bit more aggressive colors of Hyperfuse and it mutes them down a little bit, makes them a little bit more pastel-y. And then of course GMK Muted, that's like the namesake for the whole muted colorway styling for the community. So
yeah,
for sure.
Dutch, I will get into why I am flexing 2 boards. I usually only just have the one. Brez asks, are you a big 40s lover?
I am, yeah. And it's honestly one of my favorite Discords to be a part of.
Ooh, very nice. Chewy camera gone.
Yeah, I see that too. We're all frozen. Oh, I'm back.
What the heck? I'll fix it. It's not your actual camera in Discord. It's something with the overlay.
Can I be heard though?
There we go.
Hey, we're back, baby. Thank you. Sorry guys, I just had to walk away for a split second. So next up is, so this is interesting because we can get into this philosophy in a little bit later. I'm going to say no stacked acrylic boards. What are your top 4 favorite boards? Because I may have just thrown off your entire list.
Yeah, you just threw off like all 3. I
gotta put you on the spot at some point.
Yeah. Okay, so the first 2 I own, and then the next 2, it's like I really admired the design, the thought that was put into it, kind of thing. So number 1 would have to be the Van for Gone. It was a private group buy. It was like I think 20 spots for the first round, and then I think there was like teases of a second possible round. But that's like a nice 40% gamer board because it has the 1 through 6. Currently does not have the full alphas on it, but yeah.
Hey, you know,
not a
you got what you needed, right?
Exactly. I mean, I can game on it still, so and I can still actually type on it like 50 words per minute. So I don't know. And then the second one is the KBD 67 Rev 2, the Mark II polycarb. It's a great board for. I think I got it for like a total of $320. So with shipping, so like a great budget, but yeah,
not so much anymore, right? Like now,
yeah.
on the aftermarket, that board's
not on the
nuts.
aftermarket. No. But the other 2, I'm gonna have to say I don't know where they would go in 3 and 4 because obviously I haven't like used them. But I would say the Satisfaction 75. I really enjoyed that they added an encoder knob, and like it's now becoming like a thing or more of a prominent thing in larger group buy boards, because I've only seen it in like little DIY kits like the Kira or the Iris or the Q Frenzy, those ones, so they're little like DIY stuff, but now it's kind of like you can be cool with an encoder knob, which I think is pretty cool. And the OLED is like pretty sweet too. The last one is the KN2.10 squared. Don't know if that's correct how you pronounce it, but that's the other one. I saw photos of that on Instagram like a very long time ago, and I went back to my Instagram tonight to like think about this list, and I was like, what did I save? The images that I saved, and I had like 30 shots of the KN2, and I'm like, yep, this thing is a beauty.
Yeah, I remember when that board was posted, I was like, this thing looks like a Gundam. Like, it just has this very like futuristic
Yeah.
robot feel to it. So, for those who I don't have a picture, but I do have a video of Mr. Keebs unboxing the KN2.10 squared. So if you would like to check out the KN2, because I had to remind myself what that board was. There are too many names to remember nowadays.
Yeah.
It is.
I
There's
always
too much stuff.
I was like, I have to remember 800 GMK sets and 120 board names, and I can't.
The sets are easier to remember than the boards because there's so many boards that are like, yeah, there was only like 15 of these, and then that was it, or it was like a private buy and no one really knew about it. Or
do you remember the Chiwi 60?
Yeah, I remember that board.
That's a board that I think about a lot, where I'm like, yeah, that board exists. Like the Clue board, that board existed.
You know what? I just saw the Clue board the other day. I think Anthony was making one. Anthony 00.
Mm-hmm. I remember really wanting a Clue board when I was first starting out, because I was like, this is the step up from the Tada.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then got a 5 degree and was like, fuck arrow keys.
Well, with that being said, the last of the Fast Four will be your top 4 favorite foods.
So hands down, number 1 is chicken wings. It's like whenever we go somewhere, I'm always like chicken wings. And I'm from Western New York, so we got really good wings over there. We're right near Buffalo. So obviously chicken wings. The second is like ice cream. So like any ice cream flavor in general. It's just like I'll usually just eat it.
What's your favorite though?
Yeah,
if you had to pick one.
I would have to say Panda Paws, or like a strong second is cookies and cream.
I don't know what Panda Paws is.
What?
Link me, bro.
I mean, we're out here in Texas. We might not be aware.
I believe it's by Perry's. I'm not sure. You look it up.
Dude, that cookie 2-step by Bluebell, man.
Oof,
cookies
I have
and
no idea what that is.
It's cookies and cream with bits of cookie dough.
That sounds delicious. So it's like the Tonight Dough, kind of.
The Tonight? What?
The Tonight Dough. That's actually I take that back. That's my favorite flavor. It's by Ben and Jerry's.
Okay. Okay. See, we don't have Perry's ice cream out here in Dallas, so that's why. But it's just peanut butter cups with hot fudge. I think there's is that like Moose Tracks?
Something like that.
Yes, yeah, Moose Tracks by Turkey Hill, something like that.
Milkman, you thank you for the 3 months.
I know all the brands.
There it is. What's the ice cream brand in Cincinnati that everyone loses their shit about? Starts with a G. Anyway.
No idea.
Someone in chat who is near Cincinnati or lived there. There's a ice cream place that everybody loses their mind about. Starts with a G. Help me out. Anyway, that was so we got chicken wings, ice cream, which sounds like a great dinner and dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Number 3 is pad thai. I legit just had some for lunch and it was delicious. And number 4 is chicken parm.
Chicky parm parm.
Mm-hmm. I can't go wrong. It's just like, hey, you know what's good? Chicken and cheese, and if you fry the chicken, it's even better.
Yep. A little tomato sauce on there, a little marinara. Get yourself a party.
Boom, easy. So, like I said, guys, for those who don't know, who those are just joining, this is SMKeyboards. He makes stacked acrylic boards, which I feel like there is such a need right now in this hobby for stacked acrylic boards, because something that I have kind of feared for a while is that this hobby is going to run into the issue. I mean, it already is, right? That's why we're seeing mech market prices so high. But this hobby is going to quickly run into the issue of there are not enough boards. there are not enough boards for people to go out and get. And so, what do we need? We need not entry level boards, but we need entry level priced boards. That's why stuff like the NK65, the injection molded one, and the Kara by Rama, that's why these boards are going to be so great, because you can make a bunch of these for inexpensive. That's also why stacked acrylic is great, because it's a relatively quick turnaround time. I think the only thing that was holding up the buy that I joined was the plates, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, and even if
and
you don't,
that was because they had to shut down for COVID. So
so
it would have been much faster if
Mhm.
we were in a pandemic.
So, but yeah, it's one of these things that these boards, that if you can find a PCB, which finding a PCB is not the hardest thing in the world to do, getting a board cut exactly how you want it is fantastic. So, I definitely highly recommend for those who have not looked into SM keyboards. You can hit !guest, and that will pop up on his Instagram. I would highly suggest you follow, because not only do you have a lot of cool stuff posted on there and in your stories, and cute dogs in your stories. Who doesn't like cute dogs? But you also, you'll announce like, hey, this is when these drops are going to be, and these boards are, for what you get, the price is beyond reasonable. So, but my first question is, we'll backtrack all the way. How did you get into custom keyboards?
Let's see. So, like I said before, I'm a web developer. I'm a software developer in my daytime job, and of course, I'm a gamer as well. And I think my very first mechanical keyboard was the cheapest one on Amazon, and it was like $17.99, a TKL with blues.
Was it a Red Dragon or whatever it's called?
I think it was. It was either Red Dragon or Aki, but I got like a coupon code, so it was like even cheaper. But that's like what introduced me to it, and I was like, "Wow, this is great," And I'm just clacking away, and everyone in my college house was like, "Yo, you got to like change your keyboard. It's too loud. Like, get something different." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Graduated college, still had that keyboard and everything, and I was looking into like something wireless, and I looked at the Drevo, that company. They make some nice budget-friendly boards for with Bluetooth in them, and I picked up, I think, the Drevo 71. I think that's what it's called, or the Drevo Caliber. I think that was the model name, and that was the first board that I fried because I tried to desolder it. Never take apart a board if it has RGB per key, but has the 4 pins instead of like an SMD light. It's a through-hole RGB like light, and I'm like, this is a lot to do for a first attempt of desoldering, and I definitely like fried that board. Yeah, Urban Line knows what's up.
I was gonna say I can understand the trying to desolder LEDs, even trying to solder in LEDs is kind of a nightmare sometimes, because it's like they're so tiny, the holes are so tiny, and they're so close together. It's super easy to bridge, especially when you're not like, if you're new and you don't have like the best soldering iron, or it was soldered with not the best solder. It just kind of like, it just turns into a mess.
But yeah.
Mhm.
But after the Drevo, I kind of upgraded and got a 5-degree, and then I was like, wow, this is like an actually good keyboard. And it was like the moment when you start typing on like a custom keyboard that you did your own. Like I think I did hot swap, so it wasn't like that, you know, great of a feeling because you didn't like solder it for your first time or whatever like that. But when you hear like the stabilizers, the difference between lubed and unlubed, and right like side by side, and you type on it for like a day or two, you're like, I'm never going back, kind of thing. And then I guess like to how I got started up with my business, I guess, is that I saw a lot of keyboards and I'm like, I want to have a lot of keyboards, and I don't want to go broke going into all these group buys, or waiting like 10 months and then having an issue like, this one vendor can't, or I'm sorry, this one designer can't do what they said they originally did, but they still have your money, but they can't do anything about it, kind of thing. And that's like scary. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do my own thing and look up, how to make your own keyboard, or how to make your own case. And that's when I like joined like all of these discords. Like I want to say I was in AI 03s quite a lot at night, just diving into and following his PCB design stuff, and it was a great time. But then I was obviously thinking, PCB and case. I need a case, but I don't want to do some sort of CNC and go through that process and pay that much money to have one of one made. So that's where I kind of turned to acrylic.
Nice.
And so do you have your own laser, or do you have like a company that you work with to get everything cut? Or is that a thought process at some point?
It was, yeah. In the very beginning, I did like one of my own prototype boards, and it was like my very first time cutting. So I was just like, this is a lot to do and a lot to learn versus finding a great vendor online who I have, and just work with them. And obviously, they're good at what they do, and they've learned the machines and all that. So to me, it was more so of, what's my time worth learning all this, putting my time into learning all that, as well as getting an actual laser machine or laser cutter. It was like the pros, it didn't work out for me. And I didn't really want to take away too much time of my personal life, my social life, and, hanging out with my fiance, of course, to dedicate toward, like a huge business. And I didn't, I obviously didn't know this was going to get this large, in my opinion. But back then I was like, I can do it. I can do this, 1 to 3 hours a day, and still, make do with all the other commitments that I have. But if I were to keep doing that now, I had, I think, like 40 plus orders my last time, which was, a great amount. If I were to do that all myself, I think I would, it would be difficult. How about that? Yeah. With the amount of time that's in the day.
A lot of time spent cutting acrylic, and not time spent with family, friends,
other
fiancés.
Yeah, other humans.
doing the job that pays all the bills, that makes everything else possible. Yeah, no, understandable. Absolutely.
I mean, and it's, for those who don't know, if you've ever gotten a stacked acrylic board, so acrylic will come. So this is the board that I got. It's got the little Mex on Deck logo on the back. Very nice, multiple colors. I want you to show off, actually, your Metropolis one is one of the coolest freaking stacked acrylic boards I have ever seen. So, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 layers of acrylic. And so all these, are in different materials and different colors. And the thing that's painstakingly annoying, and some, I've had to do it on some, is like it comes with like an adhesive to protect the actual acrylic. And so a lot of times you'll have to like painstakingly peel off that acrylic. And oftentimes it won't come put together. And one thing I wanted to really commend you for is that it was put together. When I opened it up, it was packed up really, really tight, which I appreciate. And then a lot of bubble wrap and foam. And when you kind of finally unwrap it, it's like, it's there, the whole board there to see. And I really, we talked a lot. We'll go into it in a little bit more detail here in a minute, but we talked a lot about the unboxing experience about a year ago. And that was something that meant a lot, because it was like, oh, this is ready to go. This is like ready to go. I might have to tighten a couple screws, but I'm going to have to unscrew it anyway to get access to the plate. But it was. I was super happy and super super impressed, especially with the scare that I got and the stupidity of it getting. In short, I told this on the stream, but when I built it, but in short, we had been exchanging Discords and Instagram, and when it was ready to get shipping and all that stuff, I just wake up to a message on Discord that said, "Hey, what's your email?" I was like, "Oh, it's this," but my PayPal email is different, and so it got sent to my old address. But luckily, I was able to recover it.
Very happy that you were able to.
Yeah, I was not happy at all for like a week.
He was a sad panda for a little bit because it was like he's like, I should get this board tomorrow. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited. And then like the next day, I was like, so did you get it? And he's like, I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm like, wait, what?
I think he messaged me and was like, I'm so excited for the board. It says arriving tomorrow. I'm like, awesome. And then he just responds, he's like, F. And I'm like,
I think it was a lot. I think there was a lot of capitalized.
But
It was
a few expletives were shared.
Lots of all caps, lots of U's and C's. Just pure anger and aggression.
But yeah, I totally agree. You know, like the unboxing experience is pretty big for me because you know obviously what I'm doing is nothing too hard, nothing too special in my opinion. And you know it's something that people can do. You know, I see a lot of people in the 40s Discord talk about, you know, how can I design a stacked acrylic case? And you know, I have a local guy who said he can do it, and I just need to design a file, and then he'll do it. You know, so it's definitely easy in my opinion to do. It's just about, I guess, the implementation of it in my mind. But sorry, I definitely agree with the whole unboxing experience. That's something to me that's like pretty important, and it's something that offers a way that brands can differentiate themselves, right? Like Nike, Adidas, they make shoes, but how is it different when you know they're put in front of the consumer? You know, what color is the box? Like, what emotions does that you know spark inside you? Because there's psychological you know theories with colors and such, and like how does the box open? Is it tight fitting? Is it loose? You know, one of the best companies I think that has like the best unboxing is obviously Apple. Like they put a crap ton amount of time into designing their packaging, and it's just like that. Those are the type of YouTube videos that I don't mind watching an unboxing video because it's like, what did they do? Like how do they actually ship it out, kind of thing. And so that's something that was pretty to me.
And awesome unboxing experiences like stick with you, right? Like, something small like my Wow stick, for whatever reason, like it had a great unboxing experience. Like everything was packed up in its own little box and it fit all like perfectly, and it just like it's something that was like it was like $50 on Amazon, like not crazy expensive, not something that necessarily had any right to have this like crazy unboxing experience. Most of the time you'd expect something like that, like a screwdriver set, to just be like, oh hey, yeah, here's your stuff. It's maybe in plastic bags, just in a box. Cool. And it's like everything is all sectioned out. And then even with like your acrylic boards, I think it's huge about the fact that you go through the process of taking all the film, the plastic off, putting them together. Because I think there is a little bit of a stigma with a lot of people in the community about acrylic boards, that they're not just less expensive, but that they're like maybe not as good boards. And I think that just the aesthetics of them being put together when you get it makes it that much better, you know, like it, because when you get a board from a vendor, it's never in the pieces, you know, it's always put together, the weights in there, top and the bottom are attached to each other. And so I love that you put them together and you make it a actual full keyboard for the person that's getting it, rather than just like, yeah, here's all your pieces, break them out of the acrylic pieces and put them together, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree. Yeah. And to be honest, like there's specific colors that like that film is just a pain in the ass to like me and my fiance, we you know watch TV and peel it, and there's this one color that she's like pushing the box toward. And I'm like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, it's that color, and it's the pastel purple color that I offered. And a lot of people ordered that last time, so thank you everyone. But yeah, it's such a small thing to do that I wanted to do for consumers is just when they open it, they should see the board that they imagined in their head versus they see brown paper covering the acrylic.
Yeah.
And I thought about that because some people might not like me opening it up or like peeling it off and then taking a photo or whatever and then shipping it out to them versus just doing what I or versus leaving the protective film on and then shipping it out. But to me, it's more about you open up that box and you see through the bubble wrap, oh, that's my board. Like that's the thing that I was waiting for, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't take my eyes off it. It's when you get shipped a bunch of sheets of acrylic and they're all just kind of there. I'm like, this isn't a keyboard. This is like an IKEA box that I now have to put together. I want to see like a glimpse of the end product before I have to like tinker with this at all. And I don't know. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was the first time I got a copper plate. Which you can actually kind of see the like brownish hue reflection off of. For those who don't know, copper and brass are basically the same thing. It's more of a look thing. But it was like, I don't remember. It was cool that you offered copper. Not a lot of people do. The price isn't ridiculously different or anything. So I was like, I might as well make it unique while we're already here. But I think the other, there you go.
So this one's copper and then this one's brass. Yeah, so you can kind of see that.
So
on my crappy webcam.
So sexy.
Hey, it works. So, but it's the fact. I mean, like you said, I'm sure there are some people that like totally, get super amped up to peel shit off of plastic. I'm sure that I know that. Like my wife is someone that loves peeling like the screen off of something. Like whenever you get one of the tempered glass computer towers, and you get to peel that thing off. I think she liked that experience more than like the overall me getting her case. It was like second Christmas, but
I think that's a big moment for specific products.
Yeah, exactly. But
like I wouldn't want to do that for what we said, like 9 layers versus one panel.
Yeah,
of glass.
Yeah, I mean it's and then it's the one panel and you're done.
Maybe those first like couple layers, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying this, and then you get to like 5 or 6, and you're like, okay, I'm done.
I'm done. I'm over. But no, I just it's such a cool board. But what I do want to talk about is the sound. And obviously SMKeyboards did not invent the acrylic stacked keyboard, nor was he the reason that acrylic has the sound profile that it is. Correct. But one thing I want to reiterate is that they are not super duper expensive. And for a board, to me, I've talked to Osiris multiple times about this, the sound of a board is becoming more and more important to me than the actual feel. And not because I don't like the feel of a Switch, but like the Zelio V2 has fallen off my top 4 list because I don't like the sound of it. And other Switches that sound better, I think, kind of move in. And so I've built 3 acrylic boards on stream, and all 3 of them sounded fantastic. 2 had acrylic plates. This one, a brass plate, copper plate. The sound is like unreal. And I don't know if in your experience with having a bunch of different acrylic boards at this point, is that kind of true for all of them?
Sorry, yeah. I was responding to chat.
No, you're good.
Just a question.
Just basically every single acrylic board you have sound really, really solid.
Yes, actually, yes, 100%. Obviously, they sound all different because of the case itself, like the size of it, the print material, how you even lube your switches or whatever. But to me, they all sound great. Like I'm pretty sure the Q Frenzy board that I did with creams in it, I had to desolder because just some of the switches just didn't sound good. Whether that was because it just wasn't sitting right. That one is a acrylic plate, I believe. Um, whether it was just because they weren't sitting right or like I had to add a little bit more lube to it. It just like I'm very picky about that too. So
Have you noticed? Because I know a lot of people are offering, and you are offering both like the clear acrylics colors as well as the like opaque, those pastel ones. Is there a sound difference between those in the built boards?
not to my knowledge, no. I don't hear it. You know, I guess that would be a good test for me to do to like reuse the same plate in a different board in a different color material. The most like uh, deviance or differences that might occur is maybe because of the acrylic thickness, right? Which might be off by like zero point 0.3 millimeters,
Yeah.
which I don't know if that would even make a huge difference. Because when you order a 3 millimeter acrylic a sheet of acrylic, there's a tolerance to it that you
Yeah.
have to account for when designing, as well as just putting it together. So I don't know if those tolerances might make a difference, whether that's and it doesn't even have to matter with like clear versus like another color like blue glossy or something. It might be just clear and clear, but one had a sheet that was a little bit thinner or a little bit thicker than the other. I don't know if that would make it too big of a difference in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, because I'm always interested because it seems like a lot of times, like for whatever reason, switches with the clear housings will be a little bit like brighter and thinner than a switch in like a more opaque housing. Like even like T1s versus like lilacs, which it's like basically the same switch. It sounds just a little bit darker in the lilac housing than it does in the just like the smoky
Mhm.
EC. But I think that's also because it's different plastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way because I have the alpacas, and then I also have, I think people call them finks, which are fake inks, something like that.
Uh,
But basically, they're just, I think they're
the JWK black. Yeah.
yeah, I have those, but with the red stem. So they're
Mhm.
the smoky gray translucent switch housing with the red stem, and to me, they feel the same to an alpaca, but the sound is like it is different. Even if you were to do the same lube job, the same film, it just sounds different.
I
Yep.
mean, all linears are the same. Fight me.
Yeah.
To me, linears are either smooth, not smooth, or your creams. Creams are the only one that's like
Where they start off not smooth and then finish smooth.
Yeah.
they're just kind of off in the corner by themselves. Like everyone's going, "Oh." It's the guy that smells bad at a party,
I
and it's
mean,
fitting, right?
yeah, it's
Exactly.
true. It does smell bad.
So, and then the other thing that I really love, because I mean, it's no secret you are not the only person selling stacked acrylic.
Mhm.
You do have to differentiate yourself, and you do have to, um, and while I will say there's no shortage of people wanting keyboards, people have options, and that's good to have that people have options. But I find that you are able to differentiate yourself. You're able to offer, this service with customization. With the fact that I'm going to grab this board like 100 times. I should just leave it in front of me. We talked about this set a lot before, and I thought we nailed it. I say it was like 99% you of the kind of the purple, the purple metal pieces and the blue under and the black on top, just kind of everything kind of just worked. And
Mhm.
so it's another thing that you get to offer that's like, hey, do you have a favorite key set? But, for someone who, kind of has two different ways. For someone who's, very far into the keyboard hobby, like myself, like Eric, who it's like, what would I really need this board for? Well, it's like, well, you can customize it to a set you really, really like. And
Mhm.
you can, maybe it's a board that you don't, this is a great, like, I'm excited to take this to work whenever I finally go back to work. And it's a great set, and I put some great switches on it, and it's just a really cool board, and it's kind of unique and different from, I know Osiris is very big on just something different, just something, I don't want the same thing twice, and this is definitely not the same thing twice. And it's nice that it's light. That's sometimes sometimes I don't want to pick up a 5-pound baka. But
Yeah.
I love that you can make it your own, which is just rare.
100%. The copper plate does weigh a little bit, it does help out with the weight. Not as heavy as your baka, but yeah. That color customization like aspect to my design and my what I offer is kind of like a huge thing for me. I was thinking about what hardware I would want to use for like my own personal board and such when I first started, and I just stumbled upon all of these like different colorways of hardware to use, and I'm like, I need to be able to use those. And then I was obviously thinking like, oh, that could go well with all these other different colors of acrylic. So to me, there's so many possibilities that you can do, and I'm sure someone in chat or whatever can do all the math of all the colors of acrylic and plate options, as well as the hardware that you can pick. And mind you, you can do 3 different setups for the hardware, because if you pick something that is transparent, so like clear acrylic, you can see through the sides and see the standoffs that you use to that the screws screw into. So you have the screw, the washer, and the standoff that could all technically be different colors. I think Gravy on Mayo just said something in chat about the one that I did for Milkshake. That one was like one of my most favorite ones to do for the hardware, at least. I had a client reach out to me like legit. I think when I first posted my first interest check on Reddit, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to the Iris case because it's a little bit different than the non-standard, and it was my only request to get an Iris case versus like 65%. Obviously, those are the most popular, and everyone's like, I need that. Versus Iris, which is like one lone wolf over there saying, hey, can you make me one? And I think I nailed it. So I totally agree with you, Gravy. I'll send that link in chat. But
I'm just posting other cool pictures of matching colorways and keyboards that are just it's just cool. It's like I really want to see you do something like rainbow vomit.
Just like full on.
Yeah, just like all the rainbow as much as possible. Like my wife loves everything rainbow, and so I'm just like, I'm sitting here like, all right, it's time. We're gonna have to have a conversation after stream. Get a rainbow vomit board.
But yeah, I get a lot of DMs when I post new pictures and so on, and when new people discover me / the hobby in general, and they're like, what should I get, And I'm like, well, first start off with the size of keyboard that you want, and then they get back to me an hour later, and I'm like, if you're gonna order from me, tell me a key set that you want to match, and then I'll give you some ideas. And so something that I'm working on my forever long procrastination project is my actual website is have a page dedicated for like color suggestions, because Chewy, you said like I'm planning on putting deep space on it. I believe that's the key set.
Yeah.
Like I looked it up and I'm like, got you. Like, I know exactly what to do. Let's do it. Right. And so I think that happens a good amount of times for me to be able to like look at a key set and be like, I think these colors would go well. And I think it's kind of sweet that like not only the acrylic can match, but also the hardware can kind of get in there with the color. Because even if someone wants like a clear matte, they can always pick out like blue hardware that would match like a blue key set. So you don't necessarily have to pick that acrylic color, but the hardware can just match. I think that's pretty sweet.
And I think it's huge too, because a lot of people, they spend a lot of time looking through different, aluminum boards that are out trying to find one that runs in a color that will match something that they like. Whereas with this, it's like, yeah, no, whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
just look at the colors. You can mix and match. It'll match any of the set you like, which is really huge. Which is really huge for people in the community, and it's at like a very fair price, which is insane.
Totally agree. Yeah. Here. So this was a Van Forgone case that I did for the extra PCB that I had. So I built one with Holy Pandas and then one with alpacas. And this has the Metro on it, like I said. You can see that.
That's such a
The side profile is where like it shines because it's got the red acrylic, the teal, and then the yellow, and that matches like perfectly with the front, right? Which I think is pretty lucky because obviously I can't make acrylic to match a specific key set, but sometimes like this happens, you know.
A little happy accident, yeah. Because the teal would be the one that I'd be worried about. The teal would be the one where it's like if it's off just enough, it would be hard to match. What is your favorite that you've had overall that you've done?
There it is. I remember seeing this. Like I actually one of the channels in our Discord, I remember that picture was posted and people were just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. This is like my holy grail. And it's weird because obviously I like smaller boards with a 40%. I have like two minivans kind of. So when I take this out, I have to literally move my mouse pad over so I have more mouse space, kind of thing. But I love the colorways of this. One, the key set was great, and then I just thought of the colors. Like obviously you can tell like it's not the same purple, but it's close enough there. These screws were like kind of special ordered, kind of sort of. They're titanium instead of the normal aluminum, and that's why they have like that nice rainbow effect, which is why I wanted to like match it with the Rama Artisan. So like this is my holy grail board, I would say, but a runner up would be like the Metro board, the 60%. So this is the board that I was actually typing on when you were building mine out on stream. Was like hold on, I'm gonna mute so I can mute the microphone. So I said like this was a isolation mount prototype, and it has thin silicone cuts for the plate to rest on, and the plate actually has flex cutouts. So what's the word? Has like the leaf spring cutouts. So it kind of has that same aspect, the same design from like the thermal by Rama, and I think the key cult. They have their brass plate with the leaf springs in it. But this one is like my favorite in addition to the other one. So I have a lot of favorites, I guess. But,
super clean looking.
Yeah. So this one is a ANSI. So it's got the RGB underneath, which is nice because with the isolation plate, obviously the light leaks forward instead of just being cut off by the brass plate. And this has alpacas in it, which is why it's my favorite. And then all three artisans were actually, I bought them from Fractal Caps. So shout out to him for helping me out with this.
There you go. It's what I like about these also is like I don't, if you guys are looking to get into one of these SMKeyboards, I think like your Vaporwave board, I think that purple accents it better than if it just matched. Eric and I've talked about this a lot too, where it's like sometimes adding the same color but a different hue of that color, a different saturation level or whatever. It's kind of like the Olivia problem, right? If everyone's like, oh, I want to match this to this, I'm like, no, it's not going to work. It's too close. But if you did something that was different enough that it's like it is different but still the same, then it just kind of works out. So there are a couple things. So like Eric's Baka kind of worked out perfectly. The OD green just matches that green like almost 1-to-1. Where the Baka that I have, the navy is it's in between on Mizu. And so, if you're looking into getting an SM keyboard, I highly recommend, don't immediately go for something that matches, but understand that, hey, it could still accent it perfectly. And that's, I think, that Vaporwave board is like perfect example of like, it doesn't have to match to make it look amazing.
Yeah. And if it did match like perfectly, it would kind of just make everything blend in and not have that contrast. So
Runs together too much. It makes it look sometimes if it with certain colors, when it runs together too much, it looks kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really it's too much of a good thing is bad, right? Like too much of a color can make it bad. But I know you said you just kind of teased the little bit of gasket stuff you've been working on, but what's next for SM Keyboards? What's some things you're working on, things you want to do?
So obviously the gaskets, incorporating that somehow into at least support majority of the PCBs that I can support. So, it's kind of cool that you're able to design a board and around a specific mount style that isn't popular or isn't there isn't a big vendor going out there spending their own money, to make 500 units of that specific mounting. They're sticking with like top mount or whatever, to help keep costs down, etc. But with the stuff that I work on, it's much cheaper to do that. So it's kind of nice that I'm able to just technically make this an isolation mount for like any PCB. So obviously like that is a big thing that I'm working on, and kind of like a V2 of my cases. I do want to switch out some of the hardware for some different ones. So like the one I just showed you, the past two actually, they have button head screws, which don't need that washer. And I get a few amount of people saying like, oh, like, can I use it without the washer? And I'm like, I use countersunk screws, so it's designed to fit into that washer. So technically, if you buy your own screws, you can do that. But I'm looking into different hardware, I guess, for that. And then one big thing that I want to start doing is offering like kind of limited edition cases around a specific key set. So like one of them, I'm just gonna like just pull it out, and like it's been sneaky, but
we love revealing secrets.
Yeah, so like this is purple on the side, and then you go like here, and like what colors are those?
Little taro action. I dig it.
You flip it over.
Oh wow!
You can't see it. Yeah.
Even got the little cups.
Yeah, the little bubble teas. So like something like this is what I want to start doing is doing like miniature group buys, I guess, alongside or near the amount of near the time that the key sets actually ship out, and just help people customize it even more. Because like I said before, a lot of customers come to me and they're like, "What should I order for this key set?" And instead of that, I can just be like, "Hey, I designed this specifically for it, and it looks like this. There's some leniency with how you can do it. If you want to change the color around or something, and then they would get like something like this with some sort of like one of one engraving for it."
And I love that because it's like it's somewhat subtle with it too. Like it's not super over the top with the being taro. You can make it as over the top as you want, but I love that you can make it kind of subtle and nice and clean to match the key sets. So I think that'd be huge for the community, because there's so many key sets and there's so many people who are like, I really want to match my board with my key set, but I don't want to buy a new board every time I get a new key set. Whereas with an acrylic, if you almost can. Yeah. You almost can.
And one thing I want to reiterate, I mean, I've built a lot of cool boards and I've owned a lot of cool boards, and this is one that it holds its weight to the custom private buys. It holds its weight to the Singa, the OSA, the Austin, like the Baca. It's I don't view it that much. The only real difference, I think, is that it's not as heavy. Like, I typed on it for about 5 days straight, loved it a lot. I had like I had very minimal. The only my biggest complaint is that, oh God, it's a fingerprint magnet. Like, guess what? Most keyboards are. Like, congratulations. But it holds its weight. These custom keyboards don't have to be these $500 all metal 14-pound heavyweight champions of the world. They can be something really cool and really customized. And if you didn't see the 40 times I've lifted this up, I got mine customized. So I got to put the little Mex on Deck logo on there, and I can actually.
It's pretty sweet.
There are a lot of cool things that are offered with these boards that you can kind of make it your own. And
you're gonna show the space, but yep.
I can try and hold on. So I even got the little Mex on Deck logo next to the SMKeyboards logo, which I thought was super awesome, that it's literally cut into the plate. So I mean, this is something I don't ever plan on selling. If I really needed to get rid of it, I would give it to Eric.
I mean, I'm gonna be getting one for myself.
You know what's funny is when I was getting this, he was like, "So you want to do like purple?" I was like, "Nope, because if I get too purple, then Eric's just gonna fucking steal it from me."
Probably true.
He's like, "No, we can't have that happen. It's got to be mine."
I mean, so good. Like, it's just I feel like it's one of those deals where there have been a lot of acrylic boards, and I can't remember the name of that site that did them for a long time, and they were super popular. And one day they just kind of shut down. I can't remember the name of them, but it seems like you've taken what was out there to a completely Keyless. That's exactly who I was thinking about. You've taken what was out there and what people were doing, and you've taken it to a completely different level. To where it's like, it really feels like a product you're buying, not like a project. Whereas I feel like a lot of the other acrylic boards feel more like a project than an actual like purchasable keyboard. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other big thing is US based.
Mm-hmm.
Most stacked acrylic places were not US based, so it was hard to get. And I remember Osiris and I had a long conversation about, like, we're just waiting for the guy that starts the acrylic empire in America. And once that happens, that's going to explode. There it is.
I don't know about that guy, but okay.
Say no more. Like, it's, I think, I'm sure your growth on Instagram is growing exponentially, just over and over. I mean, the more pictures you take, the more I'm sure it just explodes for you every single day. And the cool, like the stuff like this Taro board, like that's going to make it to where, I wouldn't be surprised if designers of keycap sets were reaching out to you going, "Hey, I want to run 10 boards or 20 boards for this key set," and start kind of going from it at that angle where it's like, instead of you offering something, people are going, "Hey, let's do this, let's do this good," which the more ways you can customize this entire hobby is about customizing to something that is cool for you. And like, we like to talk about boards kind of have stories behind them. This is a cool story that I could say. It's like, I kind of took a risk on this acrylic board and I got to design it off of a keycap set that I think is highly underrated, and then make it kind of my own, and make it with the Mex on Deck logo and all that stuff. Now I just need to make a Chewy board.
Yeah, we can do
that with your little avatar that you used on Discord for a while. That would be cute.
Yeah. We'll get one custom that I can put a Chewy Funko, like, to rest it right on there. It'll be perfect. But
yeah, I totally agree. So like, it is pretty sweet, and I guess one of the bigger reasons of why I started doing this and offering my products is that there wasn't really anyone that I knew of in US and in the US for shipping anyways. Uh, and I did find out about like Switch Couture,
Mhm.
Couture, yeah, him. And I believe I saw a Minterly post about a Canon Keys stacked acrylic
Yeah.
as well. So I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, you know, like you said earlier in the show, the more people doing it, I think is the better for consumers.
Mhm.
Obviously, like out of business, but uh, for the consumer wise, competition is always good in my eyes, right? So I mean, even if I did go out of business, kind of thing, I could still do this for myself and maybe a few friends or something like that. But I don't know. I think it's good that there's other people starting to do this as well.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the way you're doing it right now. So you've been doing how many kind of group buy runs have you done so
So
far?
I did 4 total, and I had a cutoff of like 10 or 15 each time. And the last time at 3-4, I think you did
Mhm.
that time frame, and then you were able to fill out your
Basically, because
form.
I just begged you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but okay. Basically, I had like a form limiter set so that the Google form would shut off after 10, and 3-4 was like that drop date was like kind of interesting to me because I was sitting there with my fiance. I'm like, I wonder how many people are going to get this. Like last time, it took me, I think, 24 hours or 26 hours to fill up the spots, and that time, it literally, I was just sitting there and talking with her, and I started it up, and it closed off in 6 minutes for 10 people, and I was like, what? Like, what just happened? Right?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So
Refresh. Wait,
I
no.
was I posted on Reddit like I think like 2 hours before on Mech Market, and of course my story for Instagram. And there were people on Mech Market saying like, "Oh, great, another one that has limited times or limited spots availability, and my form closed out halfway through." And I'm like, "Sorry, we'll fix this for next time." Like it was just super surprising for me, and that's why this time at 4:30, I think I said that specific drop date. Um, that one I left it open for 24 hours just to see how many people would be, interested in, and so got a good amount of orders. So pretty happy about that.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have an idea of when the next drop date will be?
So I kind of made like a promise to myself is like, I don't know if you can see, but my office is literally filled with just like boxes ready to go, waiting for either additional plates, foam, or another piece of acrylic that needs to come in. And I want to get at least halfway, maybe 75% of these shipped out before I even start about, thinking about getting another one going, just because that's just unfair in my eyes to start something new, at least for my
That means you're a smart business owner.
Yeah.
I wanna like to me, I feel awful if I take someone's money and it takes me forever to get back to them about it. Because like I just as a person, like that would just make me feel horrible. And on that other end, I wouldn't want to do that, you know. So the most I do, and I say this on my site, is if you have a very specific like keyboard or PCB that you want me to design something around, then if you can send me either the files for the PCB or the PCB itself, and then before any work on my end, it's before I start doing anything, you have to give me $25 through PayPal, and that's going to be like a down deposit toward
Yeah.
the overall board cost because I don't want to go through an entire design and prototype stuff, and then you come back in 2 weeks or something and just be like, "Hey, not interested anymore. Bye." And
Nah,
I'm like,
bro.
"Okay," So it's just kind of
Fun.
like I guess a safety protection on my side to protect myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those wondering, that's like nothing. Extremely generous.
We did have someone asked earlier. Scott Water asked, any thoughts on adding some kind of weight to the boards?
Yeah. So This one client of mine for the LFK board that I did, he wanted a heavy board. He said, I want this PCB and I want this weight. So I said, we could do a 3 millimeter brass layer for the bottom layer. Instead of an acrylic bottom, it would just be brass. He's like, how heavy is that? And I'm like, we'll see when I get it. And I sent him a picture of this, and I'm like, it's pretty heavy, obviously. So I'm like, interesting. Maybe I can start doing that, It is an extra cost, so it's hard to justify sometimes as a consumer. Everybody has their own budget. But for people who really like weights and heavier keyboards, that it is an option.
I mean, that could be a cool aesthetic too, like especially as that ages and it gets a little bit tarnished, gets a little bit older, looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I want to get a copper one. Just let it patina and just.
One thing about this one is that this was like a prototype for like a ton of different things. So one, the mounting style, and two, the stand style. So on Chewy's board, you saw that the stand was right here. It had its own standoffs there, had its own hardware, and it was like kind of detached from the top row. And this one, obviously, that's not the case. And it also has a 3 millimeter brass layer in between as one of the stand layers. So technically, you could get, if you didn't want that, if you wanted to still see that, had that see-through effect with the clear matte or clear, any transparent acrylic, you could still technically get a pretty good heft from just the stand itself.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out pretty well. I don't know the weight of this one, but it is heavier, obviously, than the other boards that I have. So,
well, that's a nice little touch because, like, I always talk about how brass and copper, how they look when you have like a polycarbonate board or even like a clear stacked acrylic board. That plate comes through, and having something small like that can help it a little bit, get you that effect. We did have someone ask. Fazah asks, have you ever done or thought about doing a stacked like palm board or maybe even other plastics?
it would be interesting to do. I don't think I gave enough time to like investigate a fully palm board because I know like the series already exists out there at a good price too. So I don't know if I can, I guess compete with that price uh, and that material. But it would be pretty interesting to see if there is any noticeable differences between those two specific. To me, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a difference, just because it is a sandwich case, and it's not. It's I guess it's just all put together in my eyes, and probably will sound very similar.
Mm.
But we'll have to see. Maybe I'll have to do one.
What I also really like too is, if you went with something like black or gray of the metal pieces for the screws, you can get, I'm sure now maybe I don't know if you offer this 100% yet, but if you go all clear on the bottom, you can actually get like 4 or 5 different color tops. So for those, if you can't tell here, this is kind of hard because it's blue and black, but the very top layer is actually a little bit smaller, so it kind of shows through this blue on top. And so what's cool is you can get, if I wanted to get this top piece yellow, because these have yellow accent keys, I could get yellow and then just swap them out whenever I want to. Or if you wanted, you can have a couple different top pieces, so where you can match multiple. Yeah, I mean, there. All right, I'll shut the fuck up now and let the man show off his cool shit.
I mean, these are just some test colors of mine for 60% boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I included some other
I've got
layers for like the open layers. So the layers have the USB cutout, as well as the top layers for you to just kind of play around with if you ever wanted to change those colors. But yeah, that's a very good point. If someone wants to just be safe, like I don't know what color set or key set I want to match, or eventually, I'm going to put Metro on this board, but I'm going to wait for Vaporwave, until I can get my hands on that. Then you can order, hey, can I have an additional layer of purple or blue, and just swap that out whenever you want to, as well as different hardware colors too, if you wanted to just keep that clear matte or clear.
One layer of stacked acrylic, I cannot imagine, is going to break the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
On your order as a whole. So one thing that I do, we had Clavier on here before, so we've talked with someone else who's done stacked acrylic. You're kind of at the will of PCBs.
Mhm.
So that's something interesting because obviously you can't really, unless you are designing PCBs, you kind of have to, and most people are going to, I'm sure your most popular ones or whatever is the most available PCB out there. So I know, the Alice has a lot of PCBs out there, the TKLs, but the biggest ones, 60%, are the easiest to find. Have you dabbled in maybe designing a couple of your own PCBs or getting some different PCBs going?
Yeah, so for my first, before I started doing just bases, I was looking into PCBs, and I had this horrible prototype of an awesome idea, but I was dumb and nothing worked, obviously, because first time. But it was like a little ISO pad, basically. So it used the ISO enter key that I don't use for any of my boards, but I sometimes get in just base cases or base kits or whatever. And then it had a 2-row, and then three columns, and then a little OLED, and a rotary encoder. And I'm like, hey, this would be like an awesome thing. And the very first, I would say, if anyone's out there that wants to do PCB stuff, either get a lot of help from others and try not to start off with SMD soldering right off the bat, because I did that and I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm like, this will all work. It looks great in the program, and when I printed it out, I think the RGB underglow was hitting the Kale hot swap sockets, the actual component itself, physical, was butting up against each other. But that's something you don't see in the program. At least when I was doing it, I didn't render a model, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's just gonna work. Oh, this is what the tutorial said. We're all good, and it wasn't all good. But to get back to your original question, yes, I would love to start, doing a little bit more into PCB, as well as, possibly even just having designers reach out to me and saying, I have a great idea, or, if you have a board that you want to do, just let me know. Probably the second most question I get is, do your cases come with a PCB? So, like you said, I'm very reliant on other vendors, whether that's here in the US or elsewhere, stocking that PCB. So yeah, I think during the whole COVID-19, the first big wave of it, when no one had 60% PCBs in stock, no one had 65% PCBs in stock, everyone was like, "What do I do? Who do I buy it from?" I'm like, "You're gonna have to wait," So stocking PCBs might be in the future for me. I am working on a little better macro pad that will actually work when you solder it together, and hopefully that can get moving faster. I know that I showcased a hand wired 40% that I was doing just for fun, and I think the Royal of Reddit commented on my picture on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, I will 100% design this PCB for you, and just make me a case, and we'll all be good. We'll be square." I feel so bad because he made PCB works and everything, but I just haven't moved forward with that project. So I still owe him a case. So if he's listening, I got you, man. But yeah, that's an example of me just thinking of a layout that I wanted to do, and someone hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'll do it for you. Let's get this project going." And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say yes. So
it's one of those things that like it's hard with PCB. Usually you don't have to worry about PCBs, right? It's typically it's kind of most of the places it's a one-stop shop. I would say that's the only downside, because I definitely was kind of like looking around whenever I ordered this. I was like, fuck, I don't really have a PCB. Actually, the one that I have is kind of janked up, and I had to solder. It was wind keyless, so luckily, but I had screwed up the right shift. I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna have to use this older one. But if you're able to start offering PCBs, man, there's no telling how hard you'll be able to go in the paint on this stack boards.
I know, like Space Cables, they even got their own laser, and they're doing their own like lube stations, and I think they're doing their own like macro pad keyboard, like 65 and like a 12 key one. And I think they're going to do acrylic cases. I'm assuming they are. So I guess check them out. I think it's called like the Nebula 65. If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
it looks like the Varmillo 68 board.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
At least from what I can tell from the quick story.
That 4 cluster.
Yeah, which I think is pretty sweet. I mean, not the best in terms of desk width.
Thank you.
But I think it does look cool. I mean,
well, and it gives you a chance to show off the layers a little bit. Like if you have a clear top, show off, what we were talking about copper, brass plates, show that off a little bit, or show off like a color you've got underneath. Having that little extra space, a little blank area helps out with that. I know Project Keyboard, they just got a new laser. I don't think they plan on doing acrylic, but that's how he does like a lot of the palm plates and stuff for the Sirius and whatnot. Is through his laser. So
yeah, makes sense.
God, love lasers. And lasers are just cool because they're lasers.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? I get to play with lasers in my free time.
That is a cool thing to say. I'm going to go play with lasers. Yeah.
Be right back. So one thing that I did kind of want to announce on here. So this is something that the Mr. SMKeyboards, Sam, and I and Osiris have talked about previously. Now, we don't have a set date in mind, but something to kind of keep your eyes on the lookout for. And shout out to Jenly Bean and Langlandia for helping me kind of put this plan together, but doing a run through Mechs on Deck, which is going to be super awesome. So if you guys watch our stuff, you'll be able to show it off, or we'll keep you updated. It's not really going to do anything super specific. We haven't worked out all the details, but really excited to kind of get that going. We've ran a lot of ideas past each other of like how to do something fun for this little project.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I think it would be pretty awesome to get some of your fans in Discord to have their own, Mechs on Deck board.
Excited to see what people come up with too. What people end up choosing, parts and everything, and different options that they have. So it'll be cool.
I'll say, of the boards that I have built, no board has gotten more people PMing me going, how do I get this board, than that one.
Man.
Like, I guess in the first day, to be fair, the Baka, but that's a little different. But outside of the Baka, I've had so many people, over at least, I'm in the double digits of people going, hey, how do I get one? Like, where do I get one? Do I just follow them on Instagram? How can you get one right now? Can you talk to them? And I'm like,
hold off,
deep breaths. I was like, we're going to work on that. I promise. I was like, he doesn't do this full time.
100%. I definitely got like a good amount of like new people DMing me, asking me how I do things, like as soon as you built your board and the day after. So
Oh, there it is. I'm glad we're able to generate some hype. I'll probably run this over to Eric sometime this weekend and let him play around with it. Get him off those 65% for a week.
I mean, right now I'm rocking
That's fair. That's fair.
The board I built last night. Still rocking it. I'm enjoying it.
It's a nice one.
I don't like the switches very much, but the board I think looks great. Minimal looks good on it. But yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you can grab a extra PCB and then hit me up, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. But yeah, it's so we plan on we'll keep you updated with that. Obviously, he's got to make some room
Yeah.
in his room for that to open up. But it's just something that we were after the fourth person messaging me that night, I was like, okay, let's figure this out. let's get this. So,
Yeah.
I still think people need to rock the giant bump-ons, though.
It's funny.
I know it was not what it was intended to be, but I am in love with it.
Chewy sent me a picture of that. He's like, this thing has giant bump-ons. I'm like, I wish more people would use giant bump-ons. I can't tell you how many times after like 6 months of using a board, the bump-ons start to kind of wear down a little bit, and then they're gone. Kraskar, I love you too.
That's funny. I think those are like 10 millimeter like height. So like I as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what are you doing? No, those are for the lube station.
Whoops.
And I actually just got some brand new rubber bump-ons that I think are better, higher quality. So I'm pretty excited to move those into my cycle. They're a little bit smaller. They just fit above the washers. So it's gonna work out pretty good.
Oh yeah, and then we also I didn't even show this off, but there's this little guy. My camera is, well, I don't know if it's on stream, but I got sent this. Very stoked on it. It's a cool little lube station, a little 20 key lube station, place to put your brushes and all that fun stuff. So
I'll have to send you some more bump-ons for that one.
I've got like 20 in here. So so it's just a cool, I haven't popped any switches in them yet. I can do that like literally right now, but
yeah,
it's a cool little thing. It can fit the tub. I don't know exactly which tub it fits, but it works. If not, you can rest your beer on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and any feedback, of course, is welcome. I'm always trying to improve my products, and that little feedback that you said, like, move your logo over so I can put my bump on here.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, didn't I think of that when I was, designing that, and that took you to say, and I'm like, oh, crap. Missed a few points there.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's always going to be one of those things. You're like, I don't know why I never fucking thought of that.
Yeah, that's how it always is. Like you spend so much time designing something, you think you're done, you think it looks great, and then someone's like, yeah, why didn't you just do this? And you're like, I'm an idiot. I should have just moved this this one thing over.
I do have a question. Maybe I'm not woke. Oh shit.
Raz, thank you for the compliment. My bubble wrap. As you can see, that is a packing station.
That is a giant roll.
Yeah, that is a huge thing of bubble wrap.
Packing paper right next to it. Took a door off the closet. Just leave it open. It's messy, but it's okay. It's from Staples, the bubble wrap. My deepest secret. Ooh.
Trade secrets. Man, I did not realize you sent a sticker. It is going straight to the shield jug.
Yeah, see, I thought I did. Yeah. I meant, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boom. Right there. Thanks, bud. Got to rep the brand. I do have a question. The finger condoms. I have no idea what they're for.
I gotta be honest, I don't usually send those to people. I know I recently got some from Dwarf Factory, and I'm like, even for like this little keycap, they're gonna send me little finger condoms to not get any fingerprints on this. Like, that's kind of weird. But the main reason why I sent you that is like the metal plate is untreated. So although it's shiny,
Oh, okay.
it's not going to stay shiny forever, kind of thing. So I've seen some people like get fingerprints on it and then just like, and then they have to like scrub it off. So in my case instruction notes for building it out is kind of, hey, you should kind of not ever don't ever touch the metal plate like ever, or you can treat it your own. I actually tested it out like this uh, spray can of lacquer for brass, and it worked out pretty well. It took like 5 coats, like 5 light coats, and I'm able to put my hands on the plate with nothing sticking on, like no residue, no blemish, or anything like that. So specifically for you, I just threw that in there because literally I had like 4 or 5 left. Because when I handle other people's cases for the photos and such and just putting it together,
cool
I
to
wear
watch,
those
and
because
I
I'm
am
like, I'm not
always
gonna
ready
have
to
my
support
fingerprint
OU,
on this,
Osiris.
So
Kraskar, thank you for the sub.
Thanks for the 2 months. Now I just want to get one of the ones with the copper plate and then the copper bottom, and treat it like Luke treated his badge, to where it ends up like getting super patinaed and it's like all green and like gross. I think that would be awesome looking.
yeah, actually, one of my friends who I met through this hobby, he actually bought one of my first boards from what is it? The very first interest check I had. His name is Tiki Tillman on Instagram, and he actually did like some crazy stuff. Like he had a very weird request for his TKL case, and he posted it up on Reddit a few times. And I think that, sorry, I'm just trying to pull this up. Random Frank P like saw it and was like, "Yo, this is a sick board. We're gonna have this in our, I forgot what the series is called, but we're gonna have this up next in our boards." And the reason why I'm saying that is he actually did a DIY treatment of a patina, like treatment for his copper plate, I believe, TKL. So he built like this entire Project Nautilus. That's what he calls it. And I asked him about it, and he said the patina process was actually pretty easy. Obviously, I'm not sure if it's going to be like 100%, going to be perfect kind of thing, because it is a DIY thing. But his board, his build, photos, etc., was like featured on Random Frank, so that was pretty epic to see that.
Sweet.
It's the dream.
Yeah, yeah. Holy crap! He messaged me. He's like, "Dude, we made it," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "The case that you made in my customizations, it's gonna be glorious. You're gonna see it." And I'm like, "I already see it. It's on your Instagram." He's like, "No, you're gonna see it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he sent me like a screenshot, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna see it." Like, yeah, let's go.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a pretty like and cool, like it's kind of making me regret not getting in on GMK Copper, because it's just such a cool, like that brown and teal, or literally copper, but that kind of brown and teal look just looks so awesome. And I know, yeah, I've talked to Luke about the badge process a while back, and I remember he's like, just takes time. You literally just put it in a bucket and let it sit there for a while, for like a day. And it makes it look like 20 years has passed. So, but that's, I'm glad you're getting the recognition that you absolutely deserve.
That's pretty insane. Like I never, like I grew, like I literally, I think I can say this. I grew up watching him like in college and high school, like those cool tech for 50. That was my Christmas list. Like done. That was wild. So hopefully one of my boards can get on there.
There you go. So guys, if you have questions for Mr. SMKeyboards or myself, please at Mex on Deck, and we will happily get those answered as soon as we can or as quickly as we can. So, but yeah, I just, your Instagram is beautiful. Like, it's just so many cool different things. I love seeing the fact that, like, since you do all these custom things, like, it's fun to see what other people come up with, right? And I'm sure for you, as the person fulfilling these orders, making these orders, and these kind of visions come true, really, like, it's fancy.
This is Ashen Graphics, I believe, on Instagram, because logo is on there.
There you go.
See.
Yeah, he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want a plank case, but I want it to have a blocker." I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting, but okay, let's do it." And there it is. I think that's pretty sweet. I don't know if you can do that cheaply, budget friendly, and have your own customized like blocker locations. So even if a PCB or a specific case doesn't technically support that, or like a I guess like an OEM case, I'm gonna call it, case doesn't support that, you can still get that layout. I've had a couple of people ask me for 65% boards with the left side, like the standard size 1.25 view win key to be blocked off, along with the uh, half unit blocker for the arrows. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Like no case company, like KBD fans doesn't do that with their cases. Like you can't get that anywhere else, and I think that's pretty sweet. I had someone also ask me for like a TKL board, and they're like, I really like, I think the Navigator TKL was like a really long, I think it was like a 9U spacebar or something like that. But basically, he was asking for the HHKB layout on a TKL, and I was like, oh, that's a like non-standard thing because TKL is either blocked or win keyless. But he wanted to have an HHKB, so I'm like, sure, yeah, we can do that. And I think it turned out pretty well.
Can't imagine how ridiculous that would look.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh, no.
I mean, preference,
Yeah,
right?
but yeah, exactly. To each their own. Exactly. They can. To everybody. You can do your own thing. That's with acrylic boards. That's what we've been preaching. You can do whatever the fuck you want with an acrylic layout, as long as you have a PCB that works, or you're good at hand wiring. Which even at that, if you're good at hand wiring, then have fun. Like, the world is your imagination.
I would say a lot of the hand wired builds are either like 3D printed or like made of acrylic, just for the cost alone, because
Yeah.
obviously it's pretty expensive to do like a CNC aluminum case, and just like one MO key run. So
Thank you, Mr. Petrov, for the 12 months.
1 year
Happy
club.
anniversary. Kraskar asks, doing a red and orange themed light scheme for his room. Is it possible to keyboard in those colors? Lighting, I'm assuming, yeah, definitely could get, especially with a board from SMKeyboards.
Yep. I mean,
a lot of cool stuff.
to be honest, like it doesn't even have to come from me. Just has to have a PCB with those, the RGB, either underglow or per key glow, and then just set the backlighting to it.
Yeah, or just say screw the backlighting and go for just the just the red and orange acrylic. Just because I feel like at that point it's more vibrant to
Definitely.
have.
See, like if someone came to me with that, I would say, you can do a top half red, orange, red, and then the bottom half, if the PCB has underglow, clear matte or opal, to just showcase that underglow. Hardware colors up to you. Could be orange, or it could just be like a full red, orange hardware. Could be clear matte full, but then the screws are like the screws themselves are red, and then the washers are like orange. There's a lot of possibilities.
Lots of options. See, I know. What's funny is whenever Eric does decide to get one, I'm gonna get like 40 PMs. That's like, should I do this, and this, or should I do this, and this? But how about this, and this?
So I need to wait for a key set to come in and then just go off of that, so that way I don't have to make a decision on colors.
Yeah.
I'm totally
Hopefully
that person. If
Hopefully
I
by then I'll have a website too. So then you guys can just say, go to the website, look at the suggestions, and then
I'm totally the person that if I have like a billion options, it's like hard for me to like select one and then stick with it, because then I'm like, yeah, but this looks way cooler. Yeah, but then this fits more, but it doesn't look as cool. And then I'm like, yeah. So
yeah, I feel you. And that's something that like I kind of thought about too. I'm like, I'm definitely like overwhelming my consumers, especially if they're brand new, to one, like, hey, you don't know anything about, a custom mechanical keyboard. Let's show you our RMK, or go find a video, just watch a build video, and then come back to me. And that usually is like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, oh, I can do this with the color and this, and yeah. But overwhelming people is like a big thing. I'm like, I don't want to overwhelm you. So if you have an idea, just hit me up, and I'll be like, this is what I would do. So
well, I think
helps narrow options.
And I think having those, like you said, the pre-made ones for key sets would be super helpful for a lot of people, because then it'd be like, oh yeah, I'll just get that, and then they don't have to make a ton of selections. It's maybe more honed in.
Like, I think another really cool one that you could do, and it just reminded me because Dixie just showed up, which, hello, Dixie. Also, what's up, Alex Odos? The PlayStation, the DualShot.
Yeah,
you can get real cool with the different color. Like, I think if you could do like each, I'm sure it'd be a pain in the ass for you, but each one of everything's kind of gray, but then you kind of go off the colors of the yellow and the red.
100%.
On the PlayStation colors to kind of give it, because it's all gray with subtle hints of that extra color. So
I know that
maybe that's the board you should do, Cyrus. You got DualShock coming in.
I believe, what is it, ATX KB? He did the console 60, or was that someone else?
I can't remember if that was him or not, but I think I know.
It's like, I have to remember names of keyboards.
Yeah.
I have to remember names and who designed.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, it was him, and like that is like straight up, in my opinion, just built for GMK DualShock, like 100%. It literally just looks like
the vents.
Yeah.
So real quick, Osiris, if you don't mind checking Discord, I've sent you a PM. Where was it? Kimchi Jody Boy. SM, if you had the opportunity to CNC a board for yourself, what would you make and why? Good question.
So I would definitely make some sort of a gamer 40% OLED and encoder knob. So like that's a good amount of features to add on. I guess you could maybe call it like a mini Satisfaction 75, but like Satisfaction 45.
Sort of satisfied. Just a little satisfied.
But that's like
the just enough 45.
That is definitely something that I'm like also looking into. Specifically like polycarb stuff. Like that's, to me, is like still very, like in my eyes, very attractive. So that's why out of the KBD 67s, I picked the polycarb version. So
very nice. So we have a little surprise. So while I do, this, guys, if you want something fun, we're actually going to give this away. And it's going to come with some fat ass bump-ons that you can put on that were actually intended. So this is a lube station where I'm going to hold this to US shipping only, just because I can get it out tomorrow. So yeah, surprise little giveaway. So we're going to, sorry about the non-US, but I get very nervous about shipping. I've got a box of stuff sitting in my closet. I have like a crap ton of boxes that are just sitting for international shipping that I'm like, all these things I can't really replace. So if they get lost, I don't want to be like, oh, well, sorry about you, bud. So yeah, we're going to give this away. It's a 20 key or 20 switch lube station. It does have spots for the stem as well. If you have a tub that works, it's got little spots for your, it's the little can do everything, and it's got the little Mex on Deck branding. So you can have that, or you can take a knife to it if you just really hate us for whatever reason. So, I think
just put it right there.
What?
Electrical tape. Just put it right there.
Yeah, exactly. just cover that up, and we're even going to let you do the peeling.
Just for the
just because then you get that extra like and peel it off. So, but yeah, we're the real win is the peel. How do you enter? We will do that. We will get that set up in just a moment. Yeah. So, and I will get this in the mail probably tomorrow morning, pending you give me your information tonight. So
we can do it.
I threw this on Osiris literally like when I said, Osiris, check your DMs. So real quick, I'm going to go through our sponsor role real quick. So real quick, we are sponsored by, I just went blank. I'm sorry. Switchmod.net/Mex on Deck for 4% off your order. He's got lube still finishing up and finishing out the lube orders now. That is soon to slow down, but he's still got that going on with the H87 pre-order is going on as well. So be sure to check that out. Dixie Mech, you can go to mexondeck.dixiemech.com. Pick up GMK Moto Round 2. Very awesome set. It's a top 3 set for me. I know I'm super duper excited that it's getting another round so more people can have it. So be sure to check that out. Project Keyboard, you can go to mexondeck.project.link. Just keep an eye on that link because he's got some really cool stuff coming out here in the next couple weeks. So be sure and use these links, guys. They really do help us continue to run this channel, continue to do awesome giveaways. You can go to candykeys.com/MexOnDeck, pick up Cat Explosion. And be sure to check that. And Candy Keys just announced a set that I was really excited about that they're going to be running in August. And I'm drawing a complete blank on what it was because I just saw it today and I got really hyped and then didn't. But GMK Bread, yes, GMK Bread. So that's going to be a really cool set. Keep your eyes out for that. As well as our awesome partners, Zap Cables makes the best cables. Don't at me. As well as Smith & Rune making some of the finest quality keyboards. What's the word you said earlier? The untouched was the word we were talking about this a minute ago. But yeah, just great keyboards. The Iron 165 Extras will be coming out soon, so be sure to keep an eye out for that, as well as Type Beast, who's got one of the best newsletters around. So check all of that stuff out. Pristine condition, Iron 165.
Pristine.
So that is all that stuff. Be sure bookmark those links if you haven't already. It's a fun little. They're fun links to bookmark.
They are.
So we are going to be doing this through. I bet Keeb Noob can guess how we're going to be doing this giveaway because she tells me at least every other day how much fun she enjoys some marbles.
Marbles on stream. It's I'm updating it. I don't often open Steam. I don't really play Steam games as much as I used to. So just trying to filibuster a little bit while this game updates. But yeah, where can people find more info about SMKeyboards?
So currently Instagram is my number one point of contact. slowly going to migrate most of the like client communication to emails. Just so much easier to organize. Instagram is doing some stupid updates for me, and I see people's first and last names on Instagram, not their username. So when I try to, match that with their order, it's a pain in the butt. And then I'm slowly working on that website, like I said, and that will just be smkeyboards.com. I'll try to post that link in there. And I think it's like a coming soon page that you guys will see, and you guys could sign up for like those email notifications if you want to.
Hell yeah. So, and then I didn't say this, but Alex Odos and Clavier, thank you guys for the follows. So, can't tell you guys enough how much we appreciate the subs. You do not have to, but we are glad that you do, and we hope that we can keep bringing you some awesome content such as Marbles on Street.
Yeah, which is up and running, so you can vote for your map. It is 1 through 53 still, I believe. Nope, 55.
Oh, we're still growing.
1 through 55. ! Vote followed by a number 1 through 55. And then once we get a map, then you'll go in, you hit ! Play. You'll be entered to win the lube station. Oh, just lost.
He said he hit it. His dog's barking.
Oh.
So SM. So once again, you guys, here I'm going to take a picture of it here on my desk, and it'll be a little bit more up close and personal of what this is. And I'll post that in the chat. But yeah, guys, I still can't tell you how much I recommend these SM keyboards. We're going to give you a lot more detail on what's to come with this little Mechs on Deck group. It'll most likely be within the Discord at a certain time. So, if you guys are looking for something new, if you're looking for something kind of fun and different, check it out, because I highly recommend if you're kind of in that spot where you're like, I'd love another board, but I don't want to spend $500. This is that board. How to join the giveaway? The giveaway has not officially started.
Yeah, it starts after this. Currently in a tie. Temple of Steve and the Laboratory are currently tied. So that's 22 and 39. So ! Vote in the chat. Either 22 or 39 will break the tie, and we can get this up and going.
So that is a picture. It's kind of a rough picture because I just took it with my phone, but that is what we are hoping, what we are trying to win. Lube stations are great for everybody.
Right.
Hey, if there's if there's any Penny fans, you'll see her in like 1 second after I pick her up.
Hell yeah.
Now type ! Play. Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah. Whew,
She's kind of thick.
She's a big dog. I like how chill she was about just like you just be like,
sorry, what, dude?
I do that a lot, probably more than I should.
I looked up because I can see my wife like right over my camera, and right when I said that's a beautiful dog, I saw her like quickly typing. Or quickly alt tabbing to get to the other page. But I've shown her. I show them all the time because you share your dog on Insta. You're actually the reason that I was inspired to share my dog Howie on Insta. Whenever I do my little ask Chewy questions.
This is in fact only US.
This is US. So we have lots of giveaways. We can potentially do another one for more international, but at this time, I just don't. It is a much bigger process and more of a risk due to the current climate of the world.
Yeah. But yeah, exclamation point play to be entered to win the Mechs on Deck SMKeyboards lube station. 20 switches, right? Space to hold lube and brushes.
Lube, brushes, 20 switches. You know, it could be a skinny, like your, what is that, White Claw? Those come in like the skinny cans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're lubing outside and you got yourself a White Claw, boom. So what's next? What's something that, one question I'll ask you, what is something that you would love to do but you were unable to at this moment?
I don't know. I guess maybe have like a more rapid delivery date, you know what I mean? Even with this like pandemic going on. As well as maybe taking a little bit more orders, but probably not. Like I think I found like a good number for me to work with that doesn't destroy any other time that I can dedicate for this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think I've done a good amount so far. Obviously, there's always more to improve on and more things to do. I guess if I could right now, maybe just do like my own custom PCBs. Like I have a couple ideas for not only 40%, but other like maybe 60 or 65. Just a little something to change it up a little bit. That I think would be pretty interesting to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we can get this going.
Nice. While this starts up, are we going to see a penny themed SM keyboard? We got copper material available.
I don't know. I guess I could do that. I mean, if people really wanted to. My fiance thought it would be a great idea to print out penny postcards and include them in orders.
People would, myself included, people would go apeshit for that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Another way to differentiate, I guess. So
there it is. Zap going for the lube station. I dig it.
This is getting heated. I like this map. Oh, the start of it was nice.
For whatever reason, my Twitch live preview, every time I full screen it, it stops, it freezes, and I can't see names in the tiny little one. So keep me updated. I'm running in blind.
We've got Stash is in the lead. He there was some people real close to him. He's taking a little bit of a front running right now. But who knows? It's Marbles on stream. You all know that yeeted into oblivion. Drastically. This might be the moment. This might be the time. And it is.
I can see what's happening, but I can't see who it's happening to.
So
oh my gosh.
You can't take your eyes off it, right? So guys, next week is going to be the last week in June. We've got our standard episode Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Next Tuesday, I will be building a Tofu 65. I actually haven't built the Tofu 65, so pretty excited to kind of see how that 65% tray mount is. And then next week, we have Lividity Caps coming on to talk about some artisans. Ooh, looks like we have a winner. I'm sorry. I'll interrupt myself.
G_PNW is the winner.
G_PNW. Say something in chat.
Stash was so close.
Stash was close.
That last bit just like
as if I cast or cursed him, I said that he could get yeeted, and he did. He got full on yeeted out of the map. Unfortunate.
Thanks, GPNW. If you are not in our Discord, hit it up and I should be on the top right. Just PM me your shipping address, and I will get that in the mail tomorrow.
Grasscart,
So,
you got
yeah.
third. You got third.
There you go. But yeah, so then, next Wednesday we'll have Lividity caps on. We're going to talk about some artisans, talk about keyboards, maybe even talk about some sneakers, as Homeboy does enjoy his sneakers. So be sure to check that out next week. And thank you guys, as always, for listening. And most importantly, thank you, SM Keyboards.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me on here. It was such a surprise, honestly. Like, I never thought that. I think I started this up in like November, December-ish. Like, I never thought that I could go, I don't know, get big enough to come on the stream, you know? So it's pretty awesome.
The pleasure is all ours.
Yeah.
So
Our pleasure to have you on here. It's been fun. It's been a joy.
You keep spitting fire like this, we're going to keep bringing you back on.
Yeah, I know. Chewy loves his board. He has not stopped ranting and raving about it since he got it. So it was only a matter of time. A matter of time.
So let's see who's on. I know Mentorly's building. I just don't know how far along she is.
Let me take a gander.
I'm watching an ad about something. Samsung.
Bounty, pick her up.
Yeah,
Bounty. Keep it by
Do you have Bounty at your battle station?
I actually watched Josh OG during work, and his chat just brings it up so much, and then he just like starts acting, and it's, oh my god, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think she's finishing up. It looks like she's the board is together and has caps on it.
That'll do it on whether or not it's too much. Who are we gonna? Let's find. Do you have anybody you know that you watch? SM Keyboards. Which, by the way, I didn't even say this. Thank you. You post. Well, I love when people in like their stories are on. Usually stories, because you don't need to make a whole post about it. Usually in the stories when people are like, "Yo, watching Mechs on Deck." I fucking love that you do that. Thank you.
I love that.
That I literally was
like doing that.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, made it. Big time.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I thought you guys were gonna post like an Instagram story up, like, tag me in it and be like, we're hosting you. But I did it reverse.
Yeah, I'm bad about the Instagram stories the day of.
Yeah. All good.
But
anyone online, I mean, if you guys weren't online right now, I would be watching Metropolis. So.
Keeb Noob posted someone. Looks like they only have a couple viewers. Lubing some switches. D-Clutch 04.
Seems clutch. You know what? Let's throw some love his way. D-Clutch 04. Are you setting it up, or do you want me to?
I can. All right. Looks like he's brand new to the community, so we can show him some love.
What are we spamming?
Stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks.
Deal.
I'm down. Typing it out, Chewy.
Yep.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks. So guys, let's go in honor of our acrylic friend, who is the master of US based stacks. Let's go show this guy some love. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Switch Tester.